Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. First up today, we have to at least touch on it. Toward the end of a recent Jeff Roberts drone flyover of Giga Austin, he spotted these two vehicles mysteriously wrapped that were headed to Fremont. Per the usual, the internet has been jumping to conclusions that this could be the upcoming next-gen compact vehicle. Is it possible? Sure. Is it likely? I would say probably not. This could just as easily simply be a Model Y body, as we can't forget about Project Juniper, the Model Y refresh that we're supposed to see sometime this year. On X, Lauren Blaine shared a nice comparison shot, so I'll let you guys decide for yourself. It is true, Tesla is currently working on this next-gen compact vehicle at Giga Texas, but I'm not so sure that this is it already. But let's community source this one. What do you guys think is under this wrap? Tesla has announced the fall 2023 voting winners for upcoming supercharger locations. You can see some here for Canada, 3 in Romania, 2 in Hungary, 1 in South Korea, 3 in Japan, 1 in Australia. Then for fun, the bonus sites: Pullman, Washington, Manhattan, Kansas, Peterborough, UK, and Siena, Italy. These voting cycles run every 3 months, so right now we have the winter voting up and running. This link will be below. You can vote on current proposed locations, or you can suggest a totally new location. You Canadians can once again now order a Model Y in the 7-seat configuration. The cost is $4,000. This option is only available on the long-range variant, not rear-wheel drive, and not on the performance. At least for now. It's also only available with the black seat option, not available with the white seats. Shifting to the United States, the 7-seat option for the Model Y was bumped up $500 in price. It now sits at $3,000. Once again, this is only available for the long-range variant, but in the United States available for both black and white interiors. For some reason today, the news that Caltrans, the California Department of Transportation, was adding 399 Teslas to its fleet. But the thing is, this news actually broke back in November of 2022. That's when the agency first told Drive Tesla Canada it placed an order for 399 Tesla Model 3s. It appears as though today is the day the point of sale tax credit for Tesla finally goes live. If you have an order already placed for a Tesla in your mobile app or through your account, you may see this prompt asking you to enroll in the Vehicle Incentive Program. Tesla's website now confirms that the top banner applied at time of delivery. Customers can purchase up to 2 vehicles per year with the tax credit applied directly to the purchase price. So far, nothing else has really changed with the configurator, so if you're going to place an order, it will look familiar. Under finance options, it still just shows the price after the federal tax credit. Just to be clear, if you're looking for this prompt right here, it's only after you've already placed the order.
Just to be clear, if you transfer the tax credit to the dealer, do you still need to owe at least $7,500 in income tax when you file the next year?
Nope, you no longer. This process, this transferable tax credit process, effectively decouples. They should really call it an incentive, because it effectively decouples your tax liability from the money that you get from the IRS. So no, you do not have to owe $7,500 that year in order to get the tax credit.
Yes, this is one of the many things we were excited about this year.
Yeah, it makes EVs much more affordable to people who don't have to pay a lot in taxes.
That and everything else I'm hearing confirms that you do not have to have a tax liability of at least $7,500 to take advantage of the full $7,500 credit. Meaning, if you owed $3,500 in taxes and you got the full $7,500 credit, then the IRS is not going to come after that $4,000 difference. But if the vehicle qualifies, but you do not qualify for the credit for any reason, your modified adjusted gross income is too high, you must reimburse the IRS for any difference in the credit for which you're eligible and the benefit you received from the dealer. Dealers are not required to verify the eligibility of the buyer at the time of sale. It is your responsibility to ensure you meet all buyer requirements. The dealer is, however, required to provide the modified adjusted gross income requirements for your information. As always, before making any buying decisions, don't just take my word for it, but always double check with your own tax professional. With that disclaimer out of the way, as far as I can tell, it looks like no reimbursement concerns with regard to whatever your tax liability is, but yes, reimbursement concerns if you personally do not qualify for the credit in the first place. Sawyer also shared this post-order screenshot of how the tax credit will show up. Tesla China has decided to kick off the new year by lowering prices on both the Model 3 and the Model Y. For the Model 3 Plus, the rear-wheel drive variant was dropped by about $2,000 and the long-range variant was dropped by about $1,600. For the Model Y, both the rear-wheel drive and the long-range variants were dropped about $1,000. No change at all to the performance variant. As you can see here though, relative to the beginning of 2023, the Model 3 rear-wheel drive is actually 7% higher, the Model Y rear-wheel drive is effectively flat, and the long range for both the Model 3 and the Model Y are down 3%. Excluding the Model Y performance variant, both the Model 3 and Y prices in China are anywhere between 9 and 21% cheaper relative to the United States counterparts. Ordinarily, at the end of the year, there's a lot of pull forward of demand happening, so that leaves a demand pocket into January and February. And look, you may not agree with Tesla's strategy here, but they told us months ago exactly what their playbook was going to be. They'll continue to drop prices, do whatever they need to do to ensure that they continue to grow their EV sales. If that means driving margins to zero, then in Tesla's eyes, so be it. Do I think it's going to get to that point? No, but anything is possible. Tesla's discounts were in the neighborhood of 5%, but at the same time, we have Li Auto also offering discounts across its lineup in the neighborhood of 9%. Just don't forget, as we head into 2024, the Chinese economy has its own host of economic problems. Of course, Shawn Fain had to chime in on Tesla's recent pay increase for its workers, saying it's a UAW bump. As great as these raises are, they're still far short of what the companies can afford and what auto workers are worth. Separately, this week, the UAW said at a plant in Alabama for Mercedes-Benz, 30% of workers signed cards authorizing a vote, but the number required is 70%. How about this one from Nicholas when it comes to Tesla in Sweden? This company, Hydro Extrusions, which was supplying Tesla with certain parts and aluminum at Giga Berlin, well, via sympathy strikes last year, EF Metall put an end to them supplying Tesla, so Tesla just went to another supplier in China. Fast forward to today, and because of this, now Hydro Extrusions is laying off 20 of their about 600 employees. The CEO said it's directly linked to the Tesla conflict. Now we have 20 people out of a job because of EF Metall's strategy here in their attempt to protect Tesla employees. Riddle me that one. Today, Toyota said there's still a role for engines as a practical means of achieving carbon neutrality. The new takes on old tech will help win the war against carbon emissions while also saving jobs and preserving the smell, sound, and feel that dyed-in-the-wool car fans crave. Toyota is now starting a new project to promote engine development anew. You may think engines in this day and age, it might sound like we're running against the times, but that's not true. This is a necessary step toward the future. We did not get any details, but Toyota's messaging on advanced internal combustion is expected to be a key focus at Toyota this year. The truth is, they're probably not wrong in the sense that combustion engines can continually be improved. The problem is, it does not take a rocket scientist to figure out that all of the time, money, and engineering talent that is spent on those projects, they're not working on electric vehicles. It looks like Tesla won't be the only company to halt production due to what's going on in the Red Sea. Now we have Stellantis relying on air freight, and Volvo, with a factory in Belgium, is halting output for 3 days next week. More importantly, a freight analyst said we're looking at months rather than weeks or days before this crisis reaches any kind of resolution. Tesla relies heavily on China for battery components, components which need to be transported to Europe through the Red Sea, putting production constantly at risk. It can't be believed that they are alone, only the first to reflect the issue. Hopefully, Tesla's planned 2-week shutdown is all it turns out to be, but based on the way things are going, that's definitely not a guarantee. Nissan is delaying the launch of 2 EVs that are planned to be made in the United States. The reason? The need to enhance product competitiveness. These are supposed to be 2 sporty sedans, one for Nissan, one for Infiniti. Production for the Nissan EV is set to begin November 2026, and for Infiniti, April 2027. A source said Nissan has concerns about the profitability and market demand for EVs. What's really going on here is that most of these legacy companies are hiding behind this narrative that there's no demand for EVs, so in the background they can continue milking their ICE profits, kicking the can further and further down the road on the transition to EVs. It's like these companies are effectively saying, we're not going to get serious about producing EVs until the demand is so obvious, and at that point, Tesla and BYD are going to be fulfilling most of that demand, with another few years of a head start. The chair of the SCC is reaching out to some automakers, including Tesla, seeking more information about policies involving internet-connected car tech and domestic abuse. That's because cases of tech-enabled stalking involving vehicles are emerging, using features like location tracking or remote control of certain functions. The chairwoman requested information about policies to remove access to connected apps from individuals listed on the car's title, among others. The deadline is January 26th. Rivian is doing its best Tesla impersonation, releasing its first ever impact report. This version is for 2022. Just know it's out there if you want to dive into it. Rivian said its goal is to launch a product by 2030 with half the lifecycle carbon footprint as its R1 vehicles. To do this, Rivian said it will increase the percentage of recycled materials that it uses. They also plan to dramatically increase their use of renewable energy. If you do look at it, just remember figures like this: 100% renewable energy powers their charging network. Rivian also uses those virtual power purchase agreements. It's effectively when these companies will fund certain renewable projects, but they may actually have nothing to do with the company's actual operations. Not a Tesla app shared this new video from a Chinese Tesla owner showing a new voice assistant in a Tesla vehicle. It's in Chinese, but I want to give you a taste of what's going on.
今天特斯拉的股价是多少？
特斯拉每股现在每股252.540美元，跌幅0.77%，总市值8028亿美元，已收盘。
Translation: that voice assistant was able to answer questions like what is the weather today and what is going on with the Tesla stock price today. That means with this early version of a Chinese software update, the voice assistant moves beyond just something that controls the vehicle to actually being more conversational. Early feedback from Tesla users in China suggests the new smart assistant offers a notably enhanced and intelligent experience, differentiating it from the previous basic voice command system. Not a Tesla app reader told us that this is an authentic voice assistant. Let me be crystal clear here, there is absolutely no confirmation that Grok is now running in a Tesla vehicle, but I think it's fair to ask the question. It was just over about 2 months ago when Chuck pointed out a post that Elon liked, where part of it said Grok will run native in Tesla using local compute power. To which Elon then responded saying, provided our vehicle AI computer is able to run the model, meaning Grok, Tesla will probably have the most amount of true usable inference compute on Earth. Then we have to remind ourselves that Tesla is a vertical integration first company. Do we really think Elon and co are going to be working on Grok even though it's with one of Elon's ancillary businesses, and then for whatever reason choose to use a different model and a different data set for Tesla's in-car assistant? Seems unlikely. If history is our guide, oftentimes new features will roll out in China first, then they'll hit the United States and other markets in the weeks following. At the very least, this is certainly something to watch. For 2024, Nissan is launching a performance variant of its EV, the Ariya. and they're dubbing it the NISMO. Most importantly, it looks like Nissan will add a sound generator that's evocative of Formula E racing. For now though, we won't get too far into this one because we don't know when or if this vehicle will make it to the United States. Polestar delivered 12,800 cars in Q4, including 880 of the new Polestar 4 in China, taking global deliveries for the year to 54.6 thousand, up only 6% year over year. Polestar's playbook is the opposite of Tesla. They're not going to lower prices, they're going to remain a luxury brand, and they're going to sacrifice their sales growth. They're now expecting a gross profit margin for the full year of around break even. That'll cap a somewhat slow news day, so I hope you guys all have a wonderful and a safe weekend. You can find me on X, linked below. Please like the video if you did, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.